So it's a pleasure to read after or before Chris Nealon, he being my instructor way back when I used to Berkeley. And when he selected me for the lunch poems, I still get people approaching me even to this day saying, "You're the guy who read lunch poems with that beer in your hand, you were drunk." And yes, I did drink, a six-pack with my friend in the men's bathroom in the library. I wasn't drunk. But most people remember that. And I guess because you were my 45C instructor, I would read something about HD. I didn't know what to choose, so probably lunch. This is Breaking Up with HD. After learning HD with Chris Nealon, several years later, I broke up with her. What eviscerates you? Before I begin, there's a word. There's 250 ethnic groups in the Philippines. Ilocano is one of them. We're the second largest ethnic group in the Philippines. And becoming a Filipino colony, Cano being a Spanish suffix, meaning, but Ilocos meaning people from the Bay, so from the northern Bay. But with the this arrival of Spanish, we became, instead of Iloco, meaning Ilocano. Cano being a slang for American, and of course, Ilocano. Ilocano equals sick American. I'm the pun made possible. I'm a sick American made possible, and Ilocano made possible. According to craniometrists, I am possible from a long line of headhunters. Dermatologists insist lexical diffusion. Are we hell from the waist down, from the waist down? You cannot see their collapsibility, their error, their unmeasured navels. Coreopolis do well in poor soil, lobelia too. Unmistakably my lover's hair, a woman of time-released capsules, of explosives and lightning, the week's missile, the unnatural Pinoy puns. Correction, I'm not punning. Come, I promise not to share thorns. Look for me in the Doctrina Christiana. There's no room for busos. Bamboo baskets straddle Santo Tomas River bank. Chicken entrails Talanka crabs. Here they tried his lunacy. I am now this small. I walk into the green room, and Christ was a madman serving livers of himself. So I set the fire to the house, because neurological damage can take strange forms. Maple waffles are ermine in sleep. I've seen wrinkled penises at nudist camps beyond the Farallons. Drug lords hoard pelicans. Fluorescent embryos want nocturnal manicures. Kielbasa is not everyone's red herring. I am blind, and you stand behind me when a good-looking gal is obscene with jack cheese. But that ain't no tumor in the casserole. What did you gain by taking on the ex-wife? Sisyphus loads his cart with golden squash and trades bugle corn with Orpheus, and this afterlife pen beyond. Have you, at 6 years old, caterwauled gelatinous payload and smiled for scorching Asia, the fontanelle strange, the navel stranger, beneath oilskin, subduct palais, moonless stirrups measure syncope? Where do we meet, if not intramuros? So what eviscerates you? And there she traces dragons opposing themselves, born to his third eye, Indra effaced from lotus. Bronchioles illuminate in ill embrace, insurgent clavicle in dark spaces, in dark fault lines, in dark eccentricities, in dark corridors, tulips, silent I-5 soft shoulder, northbound of gray-walled cities, commuted sentence, discord syntax, unmetered synthesis, in dark orbit synchronous, captive in native light, malingering in plotments confess. Dark invaginate shoals sustain infection and contrite margin of fugitive time of fugitives. Deception selected publicly, slip, and now there's one our hands cannot covertly hold. The grace wafted remembers her birth control. The grace stayed in her futon, most days bled. The grace hidden wouldn't keep it anyways. Is there an honest woman among them? Is there an honest woman whom Pope defines? We at least promised nothing. Dark calyxes, dark determinants, dark andresiums, dark continents. In mirror, appear closer than objects. Robust debris in the timeless infinitive. Venus infers white war, the daughter not born. But she wouldn't keep her anyways. Where do we meet if not intramuros? What eviscerates you? He will pay the bar fine. In his hotel room, they will strip down. She will finger his waves, his ribs cage disaster. He will shower and dry himself. The fog mirror acknowledges the Republic of the Philippines for extending assistance in the making of a whore. No Filipino was harmed. In Apocalypse Now, in The Year of Living Dangerously, in An Officer and a Gentleman, in Missing in Action, in Hamburger Hill, in Platoon, in Born on the 4th of July. And in this film, what fortress is your color? How much candle power requires your suicide? She left a shadow in my bed. He continues to sleep in it. One of these days, he will stop believing. Somewhere in this room, not this room, cities spur gold tunics, beleaguered minarets winter slumberless. Some inactivity or inanity or inactivity, needful fucking, they are psychopomps, circumventing transit and reinventing cervix. For every legation, there is job security. Negritos paddle off ramps, dust boys and dust girls jig hours. For babes chase hypoxia, disarm the dowager. No, she'll never meet the whore I'm thinking about. So where do we meet if not intramuros? So what eviscerates you? For every woman, there is an attic. Bunduk's transcript mothers scoff. For sons, enlightened hubris, stations of the cross. In the rain, not horrified, children sell sampaguita. Tamaras collect bar fine because it's good money. Psychopomps in raftered chariots leaves. Swank suits speak in dollars, cut lines. GROs. Guest relation officers are gigolos comfort. Two-step snakes, wedded stigma, caves clerestory. I'm tracing the bowstrip, hand of a diminished lifeline, jaundiced vesicles of a murdered illustrato, simultaneously uvula and pudendum, mind parting a ballad song, going where I must go, and you a dark continent companion, recipient of all things, written and dreamt, from that dreamy place at the edge of the sea. The dream that once was Dutch Ilocandia. So where do we meet if not intramuros? So what eviscerates you? So claimant sees Gulag Archipelago's faith in metaphor. What compels them to leave intramuros and follow me to where horizons collide? Hammers, hand them out. Serendipity turns each. Compel a nail as nails compel them, are compelling as nails. Every space for a nail, every space between another nail. Measure nails for spaces measured. Do we ask how busos demand the placement of nails? Ragdolls comply and offer hands, correct the color of my lens, resist a fetid tongue, slough spines of missiles, slough polyps of new desert, masonry of optic tongues, febrile, abrupt pudendum rots baby's first shoes through rattlesnake grass, slough plates of dying redwood and dying oak, tumble down dandelion, parachute in snow. The debris bed tumbles down. Should I continue to adore the one who has left me the Cordilleras, the one who has left me the receding berm? Appalachian's grief, Magellan's ghost fleet, divorce of fiction and war. Tumble down shock troops, tumble down sappers, tumble down rumors of war. Only a 6-year-old tumbles down in his head, brutes peacemakers and Minutemen. There is a woman who needs to listen to a man before his darker fictions of peacemakers, Minutemen, and Tridents, tomahawks, sidewinders, and hellfires. There's a woman who needs to listen to klaxons and fusillades. There's a woman that this man does not need goose steps and tanks. There is this woman that this man does not need in Beirut's firing line, and batons march in Binalona's last stand. The tanks roll, and there is this man, a patty shark eludes. Explain endorphin to her, and you're a better man. Explain the sacred collapses, and she finds the familiar in you also collapses. Explain barbed wire, and bitter melon trellising barbed wire, and the many habits raking arms across barbed wire for fruit. And perhaps she will marry you. She will marry you despite calumny and calamity. She will bury her sins and marry you because you are still novel. But if you don't explain it to her, then so much the better unmarried. So where do we meet if not intramuros? Drive into the desert, a black rider crossing the bridge and pacify the howling wilderness. Katonk. Did you hear the hammering? Katonk. The anvil of our nakedness. Katonk. A galleon. Katonk. The novelty of its cannonade. Katonk. To be lifted into place. Arc light. She was never 6 years old with a congenital slant. It is a diverse delta. So where do we meet if not intramuros? Regimes change when monopolies cannot accessorize. when contents of ballot buy-in boxes are not known, how a nation functions when in compliance it cannot. I had buried myself into her, and because I buried myself into her, was I not promoted to her bed? I was going on a trip and found her in that bed, curled and mercurial. I was going on a trip and was bound to a bed, the value of my modernism, iliac's crest. Beneath the arena, Luna spoils Retiarius, his passion appeals conviction, her punitive kiss. So where do we meet if not intramuros? Does Valium taste like rebar and thalamus, throb of concrete and chain-link fence? Listen, a Dharma needs his loneliness, and he is there. The sun needs his torchbearers, and he is there. The androgyne needs his sex, and he is there. The misanthrope needs his society, and he is there. And the pallbearers, what do they need that brings them here? A body, and he is there, half naked, blonde blemish, a register of faith. He takes the form of a word burnt upon two lips, nuestra idem perdido. And now, what will I say when I emerge? Where do we meet if not intramuros?